Hi everybody, Joseph here with Bean to Bar World, and welcome to another episode of Taste with Me. Today I'm going to have another cheese and chocolate pairing. The cheese that I have today is Fontina d'Aosta from northern Italy. It's made with unpasteurized Valdostana cow's milk. They say it's been made since at least the Middle Ages. And the notes, the suggested flavor notes, they say is fruity, grassy, earthy, and cellar. The chocolates that I'm going to pair it with, the first one is Heinde and Verre from Netherlands, and it's a 71% dark chocolate made with Piura origin cacao from Peru. Then I have a 60% dark milk from Pump Street in the UK, and it's an Ecuador origin cacao. Then I have a 77% dark chocolate by Goodnow Farms in Massachusetts that was infused with Lawley's rum, so it's a rum-based dark chocolate bar. And then the final one is from Cuna de Piedra in Mexico using Tabasco cacao and smoked heirloom chilies. So I'm going to start things off by cleansing my palate with some hot water. The hot water really helps warm up the mouth to really help melt the chocolate and start releasing those aromas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a little bit of the chocolate first, analyze that flavor, then try the cheese, and then go back and forth between them, and we'll see how the cheese influences the flavor of the chocolate, and maybe vice versa. So I'm going to go ahead and try the Heinde and Verre Piura Peru bar. Their suggested flavor notes are fruity, coffee, citrus, so let's see what I pick up today. At the back of the mouth, you do get that citrusy, those fruity notes. You know, I can see some people gravitating towards more of the red fruits, maybe the cranberry, and then that tartness sort of lingers on, but there is this toastedness that does resemble a bit of a coffee flavor. I would say it's almost like a fruity dark chocolate, I would almost say it's like a fruity coffee, maybe a pour over, something like that. Not intense, not bitter, but that toastedness and that fruitiness really shines through. So now I'm going to try some of the Fontina d'Aosta cheese. For me, it's a beautiful aged cheese, not really deep and heavy flavors. I definitely get the grass and the cellar. For me, it's very nostalgic. It reminds me of my Nona's cold cellar. And all the foods that they would have in there and the strong cheeses that we would have in the house there. So let's see how that mixes well with the Heinde and Verre bar. So I would say that the cheese itself is not very intense. It does mask the toasted notes in the Heinde and Verre. So the Heinde and Verre tasted sweeter. Those fruity notes kind of became prominent at the beginning. And it sort of made it taste like a lower percentage dark chocolate bar. So it paired nicely. It paired well. So let's continue and see how it pairs now with the other bars. So I'm going to cleanse my palate again. So now I'm going to try the Pump Street Ecuador Dark Milk Bar, 61%. Their suggested flavor notes are, they say, a soft bittersweet balance and a subtle undertones of milk. For me, I get very strong mushroom earthy tones in there. I don't know why, but that always comes through with this bar no matter what day. And that's why I thought it might actually go well with this cheese. So let's go ahead and try this chocolate. Beautiful melt, soft, sweet but not too sweet. And then for me, I definitely get those earthy tones, which for me right away is mushroom, and then it gets a little bit woody. I really like that. So now I'm going to try it with the cheese. Right away you notice that the sweeter chocolate makes this cheese taste saltier than it did earlier. right? You have those contrasting tastings in there, and when you pair foods, they either mute or enhance other tastings. Remember to breathe. The important key when you're tasting chocolate, move it around in your mouth and breathe out of your nose constantly. Really, really nice pairing. The chocolate really holds itself. The mushroomy notes, the earthy tones are still there, but it's still sweet, it's still creamy, milky. The cheese didn't influence that much. I found like the chocolate seemed to influence the cheese more in this case. It made the cheese seem a little bit drier, a little bit saltier. Probably because this is a bit sweeter and it's a lot creamier and softer, which made the cheese texture, by comparison, seem a bit drier than it did before. And not drier in a bad way. Very nice. Can't decide yet, but we'll come back to that. So I'm going to cleanse my palate again. Don't be afraid to swoosh it in your mouth. Now we have the Lawley's rum bar. The smell is beautiful. It's almost like a cologne. I wish I could wear this scent. It's got sweetness, woodiness. It's just almost a bit of leather. It's just a beautiful, beautiful scent. So I'm going to go ahead and try the chocolate. Really, right away, you get that rum. You know, it's like you're drinking a sip of rum, but without the harshness of the alcohol. But you get all that flavor. It's beautiful, beautiful. Now let's compare it with the cheese. Again, a really nice pairing. So far, I've liked all these pairings. There was nothing really off-putting about any of them. You know, the texture of the chocolates and the cheese, the flavors, for me, really were harmonized well together. The cheese did mute a little bit of the really nice flavors that I like in the rum bar. They still sneak through. You know, they don't disappear, but they're not as strong as they were before. And maybe because I just really love that flavor, I was hoping it would really come out even stronger. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think I was able to enjoy both at the same time. I feel like this pairing, the cheese and the chocolate were more well balanced. Whereas this one, the chocolate really changed the cheese. And in this one, the cheese really changed the chocolate. And in this one, they sort of held both their flavors while I was enjoying them. Okay, so let's try the last chocolate now. This is the Cuna de Piedra smoked heirloom chili made with cacao from Tabasco. What I love about this bar is some people like spicy chocolate, but it's not just typical cocoa flavor with spice added. It's got so much more depth of flavor. The smoked heirloom chili makes it seem as though you're eating a spicy dark chocolate next to a campfire. It's a beautiful, beautiful flavor. And I think it will go quite well with the cheese, so let's see. So I'm going to cleanse my palate again. Try a bit of the chocolate. So I was worried that perhaps the chocolate would really overpower this because of the smokiness and the chili. But they do hold their own. The chocolate and the cheese still have their flavors coming through. The cheese tempers the spiciness a little bit. You know, dairy tends to mute the spicy sensation if you're eating something spicy. So I think that's in effect here with the cheese and the spiciness. So if you like spicy but you don't like too spicy, if you eat this with some cheese, then it kind of cuts the spiciness and you can enjoy it a little bit more. I can handle my spicy, so I don't mind it. That was quite nice. Because I still have that smokiness, that chili still sits there on the tongue, and I could still taste the cheese at the same time. I don't know, I think this is one of my favorite pairings of these four and this cheese, of the Fontina, D'Aosta, and these four chocolates. I don't know, none of them really went wrong together. Yeah, I would say that the Heinde and Verre and the cheese is a very safe pairing. I don't think many people would have a problem with this pairing. I think it goes well together. There's nothing, you know, both of them have very, I wouldn't say delicate, but not as pronounced flavors, but still very flavorful. I do like how the mushroom notes in this, the earthy tones, pair with the earthy tones in the cheese. They both come through, they complement each other. That worked really well. I think some people might not like the sweetness of a milk chocolate. I mean, this is a 60%, so it's not very sweet at all. But it also made the cheese a little bit drier, so it loses points there for me. The Lawley's rum went really well together. They played with each other really well. I think it's a toss-up between these two for me. For me, I'm someone who, I like things a bit different, a bit interesting, you know? So this would be classic if I was having a tasting. I'd probably put these two together because I feel like most people would think it goes really well. Whereas these ones would be a hit and miss, I think, for some people. I think the Cuna de Piedra smoked heirloom chili, I think this was my favorite. These two are sort of tied together. And this one here, I don't know if I like that more than these. I would say maybe 1, 2, and then these are tied at number 3. I really love cheese and chocolate. And that's one thing about getting into fine chocolate, for instance, or any fine food, is you can use it to branch out into other fine foods and then bring those together. You know, if you look at this, it seems a bit boring. It's just, you know, little piece of plain chocolates and a little piece of cheese, so what? But what I can't get across in the video is the depth of flavor that all these bars have, that this cheese has. That's things that you can't get at the grocery stores. You can't get at even high-end boutique shops in a lot of places. You know, these bars are very unique, very substantial in flavor, and this cheese is just beautiful, beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this segment of Taste With Me. If you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me through my website, beantobarworld.com, and I hope to see you again soon. Download the free Bean to Bar app to connect with incredible chocolate makers from around the world. Also be sure to visit beantobarworld.com, your portal for all things fine chocolate, virtual tastings, free learning resources, research, and much more. Subscribe to the newsletter to stay in touch, and donate to the free app and free resources here. Contact me for any chocolate-related questions you may have.